it's Aaron, and I'm just here outside. I don't know if you saw my previous video, which was there was a hospital. I'm in Thailand. There's a hospital nearby, called Bandon Hospital, and I showed that it had this enormous electrical mast, one of those big red-white masts sits in the middle of it. So I just wanted to show you. This is a different hospital. This is Thai International Hospital. I just wanted to show you here that it too has one of these ridiculously tall masts here, if you can see that. So there's basically two things here. There's a big mast, which just looks like some kind of electrical mast, and the second thing is a water tower. But if you look at the water tower, it too has a electrical mast on the top of it, which is quite interesting. Anyway, I just saw that. I just happened to see that. It's sort of tucked away in a back street, and all of these things seem to be located, you know, where you wouldn't really notice them. Places where you're driving past, but not places where tourists would spend their time and stuff. But anyway, I'm just on my way actually to try and go up to a temple on top of a hill to show you something more interesting. All right. See, the electrical infrastructure here is really just in your face everywhere. Down either side of the road, you've got all these cables, and look how many cables and batteries and transformers and diodes. And see that mast? That's the one outside one of the hospitals. Yeah. But all along the road, you can see, just look how many cables. There are cables going across the road, down the road. The number of them makes no sense. I suppose you're supposed to just sort of see this and think, oh, they're so disorganized. They can't get their shit together to just make one or two cables. It's just, oh, that's Thailand. Do you know what I mean? But it doesn't make any sense on that in that respect. It's like, why would you maintain? Because they're going to maintain these cables. And look, it's like literally just hundreds and hundreds of cables where there could be just a few. And they are electrical cables. They're not data cables or anything. They can't bury them in the ground because, firstly, it's expensive to do that. And secondly, I don't think they want them buried in the ground. I think they want them in the air, harvesting power. Because although there may be very little harvested by each little wire, point is, look how many wires they put up. So they absolutely fill the whole space with cables in a way that they can get away with, in the sense that you think, okay, that's electrical cabling for you, that's Thailand. But you know what they're actually doing is maximising the amount of air that's being, you know, the amount of kind of ether flux basically that's being intercepted by all these wires in total. So if they can do this, make these coils and aggregate all of this together and store it in the batteries, and then with the additional masts that they've built and temples and so on, then you have a complete system. So what I'm looking for really is, first of all, I've been looking for masts. Second, I've been looking for cables. So for a start, right, look at these cables. Everywhere in Thailand, sorry about the background noise. Okay, everywhere in Thailand you get these massive cables. When I say massive, I mean there's loads of them. Seemingly ridiculous numbers of them, right? Now, why would you have so many small cables when you could just have, you know, one big one, if they're all doing the same thing, like power? I would suggest possibly that these cables maybe are also collecting electricity, and that they're laid out that way because they make basically a coil. So if you think about how a coil works, you basically have a lot of very thin wires wrapped around multiple times. And coils are very useful in certain circumstances. Maybe if you're harvesting atmospheric electricity in a small island situation where it's limited how many masts you can have and stuff, you can't have long power cables stretching across the countryside. So maybe this is the solution, to kind of coil things and try and anyway, apart from these cables and the batteries, which I've already pointed out pretty much everywhere, what I'm looking for also is any kind of conspicuously high altitude objects that are metal, and especially anything that's, you know, on top of a hill, it's covered in gold. I don't know if you can see that thing behind me, but at the very top of that hill behind me is a typical golden Thai temple. So it's typical in the sense that it's pointy shaped, it's covered in gold. In fact, it was recently re-gilded, and it's also at the highest altitude around, which is top of the hill. Anyway, I'm going to try and go up there and take a look. Okay, well, I've driven up the hill, up a slightly scary road, and now I'm somewhere very beautiful. I don't know if you can see behind me, but very nice view. Okay, and if I look around here, up here you can see, can you see the Golden Temple? And if I just zoom in, I'm just trying to zoom in. Okay, I can't zoom in. So I'll just tell you that I'm going to walk up there and show it to you in detail. But basically, it's a tall kind of golden mast type thing, and then on the top of it is a sort of silver bell-shaped thing, and there's a big wire coming from it. Anyway, so I'm going to go up there. I just asked one of the locals what the place is called, and realised that it was something that I could barely pronounce, which is Wat Kauwatuk. So I don't know. I mean, you know, Wat Kauwatuk. Wat means temple. So, you know, Wats with all the electrical masts. That's what I want to know. Okay, well here I am so now I'm at the base of the thing. And okay, I'm going to go up further, but I just want you to see, if you can, that there is at the top of that, there's an electrical mast attached to it. What you call a lightning conductor, just sticking out the side of it. See that? And there's a kind of silvery thing on top, above the gold top. So here I am inside the temple, where they have beautiful golden Buddhas, and it's not too ornate, this one, fairly plain, apart from a few golden Buddhas. Okay, and then go outside. You can see we're quite high up. There's the airport. Let's have a look. Let's walk around barefoot. Be careful. Okay, so what you can see up here, there's the airport, and all the way over there's Big Buddha in the distance, and that's Koh Phangan in the far distance. And if it was a clearer day, there would be Koh Tao over that way. Okay, and then here we've got the temple, and I'm going to go up on the roof. I was going to walk straight up to the roof after that last little bit, but what do you know, I don't even need to walk to the roof to find a concealed massive electrical tower. Look at that. So it's here, it's sort of hidden away because of the temple. If you come anywhere up here, you're going to see the temple, and it's sort of nestling here, top of the hill, amongst the trees. Okay. What's at the bottom of this one? Let's have a look. There's a big sort of box there, locked box. Not really clear what's going on. There's some power cables, black power cables going up it. Red light on the top, lots of masts, the usual thing. It's not a 3G tower, there's no 3G masts here. So anyway, back to the temple. So I'm here on the platform now. Beautiful view all around. Beautiful view. And there behind me, yes, very big mast thing. Okay, well, I'm not sure if I can climb up it. There's a ladder here, but you're not supposed to go up it, obviously, unless you're a monk or someone authorised to go up there. So I'm just going to have a look around. Right, I know it's very windy up here, so possibly the sound is going to be dreadful, but you have to bear with me on the sound, because I just want to show you, from up here you can see, if I zoom in, you see that big red and white mast there? Yeah, I'm going to try and focus on it. See that mast? There's one there. And then if I go over here, for example, there's another one. Right there. There's loads of these masts around once you start looking for them. If I look over that way, you can see, I don't know if you can see in silhouette on top of the hills, there are masts. So there are a lot of masts around. Yeah, a lot of masts. And you can see quite a few of them from up on this platform. There's another one over there, I don't know if you can see it. Quite a tall one, just near the sea. over here, we've got this one which I pointed out to you just before. I'll just zoom out. Yeah, so that's pretty tall. That's actually going up to the same height as pretty much the same height as the temple itself. Okay, and then if you look around, lots of masts. There's the golden Buddha over there, and down this way you can see things like, you see that water tower there? See that water tower? I think that might actually be hospital, near the hospital I drove by. It's certainly a very similar water tower to that one. Yeah, and then, so this mast, I'll show you this mast. And first I'll just try and zoom out. Okay, so on this mast, there's a electrical cable here. Do you see that cable? And that cable runs all the way up here. Up, 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 up to the top, where it joins up to what looks like a sort of lightning conductor thing, light. See, there we go. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? And this was just refurbished recently, this temple. Yeah, so just another mast. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you can see that there's a bit of a pattern going on here, which is golden temples, golden Buddhas at elevated altitudes on platforms which are isolated from the ground, with big cables running from them, with aircraft warning red lights on the top of them all, whether they're very high or not, and a system of batteries all around the island, which are masquerading as transformers, and a system of cables all around the island that are sometimes in kind of bundles of maybe up to 20 at a time along the streets, across the streets, so on. And these could be kind of coils picking up electricity as well. And I spoke to my friend about all this, and she said that these masts, you know, the red and white masts, she said you get these red and white masts in every single town in Thailand, not just on this island, but in her hometown up in Isan, and just all over Thailand you get loads of these red and white masts, and each population centre seems to have one. So, you know, this seems to be the way that all of Thailand is powered, and because they don't have that much money, and it's, you know, places like small islands and so on, they can't bury all of it underground. They can't bury all the cables and transformers and stuff. They can't hide them in fake skyscrapers and this kind of thing. So, you know, once you catch on to it, it's pretty easy to just inspect it all, basically, because it's all, you know, it's all there to be seen, if you've got eyes to see. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope, if nothing else, you've enjoyed the lovely view, which I have. Alright, bye.